We want the limit decks, so we paste the idea to the include develop, we and on to the small shop.
It can stay like this forever. You speak and people can understand. Or it can change dramatically after just 5 days.
We wanted a limited X, so we pasted the idea to the included envelope we handed on to the small shop.
Most English learning out there is built for students, not for professionals. And so people like me and you end up taking courses with a lot of theory, but being totally unable to use it under pressure. And so I stopped looking for better explanations and started building a system of my own. The reason I wasn't fluent is because there are 3 basic principles to fluency, and I broke every single one of them. The first principle, my friend, follows a very simple and natural law, and it's the same reason why you can drive your car without thinking. Fluency, my friend, is physical. You can touch it. Yeah, you can. Speaking is a mechanical thing. It's done through your mouth, your throat, your internal muscles, your tongue. And for this reason, you don't improve it with your brain. You become fluent by training the right movements enough times. Just like training at the gym. That's why 30 minutes of focused practice a day is more than enough. But I said focused. Let me show you what I mean. See, many people are already taking this advice. And so they start talking in English every single day. But if you don't do this training following an upward path, if you just speak, you don't improve your fluency. You simply end up reinforcing the same mistakes over and over. Pretty useless this way. But if done correctly, if you practice following a system that brings you upward and upward and upward, in a way that the more you practice, the more the training becomes progressively complex, things change pretty quickly. Here is Nick before starting structured training.
I remember our rare beers were ordered over the counter. However, here rare orders was barely ready.
This was how he spoke English. He had to use it at work to sell contracts. So we restructured his training, making it more physical, less theory, more progressive practice. And now, listen again.
The girl worried about the green mirror she broke. The bigger she broke, the worse people cried over her.
Now, was he perfect? No, but he was confident. And that's way more important than perfection. Confidence makes you credible, makes you close contracts. Perfection takes you nowhere. Now, the second principle I wasn't following is the same that makes most people quit. I was practicing hard every day. I tried, really. But I couldn't feel my progress. To me, I wasn't fluent at all. And the thing is, when progress is invisible, doubts creep in, grow. Another student of mine put this very beautifully. The problem is that I want to notice fast progress, and when I don't, I feel like the language is too hard and maybe I can't learn it. Maybe I can't learn it, my friend. This is the voice of doubt. This is what makes you quit. But I get it. We all want fast progress. And as his fluency coach, I knew full well that she was improving, but she wasn't seeing it. And so this is what I did to fix her problem. Inside the system I created, I measured the fluency of each student before and after every cycle. This way, they can see their improvement after just 5 days.
Where are your circle skirts? over the bars or over the hair box for the ceremony? Where are your circle skirt over the bears or over the hair box for the lion?
That's it. She started seeing progress, and so she hasn't quit. This is all you need to stay on track. Here's Riccardo, another student of mine. He lives in the UK, but just like Raghad and me, he wasn't consistent at first. This is him when he started.
When she closed the table, she noticed a small candle melted on top of a damaged apple. She pinched the heavy candle by the hole supplied at the base, only to stumble on the cable abandoned on the deck.
Very tight, very unconfident, hesitant, right? Cycle after cycle, he started noticing his improvement. Sometimes small, sometimes bigger. He kept going, and this is how he sounds after 5 months.
If he's got a party of 40 who wanna feature in the article on the furniture she's got, how is it that your idea is distorted and I'm out of my mind?
Way more confident. Listen to what he said during a recent interview.
I learned more. That's why my confidence grew up. It changed a lot of things on me and on my pronunciation and listening. I got almost 50% of my confidence, and I like it. It's something that is very useful because when you can communicate with people better than before, and my confidence grew up.
Most English learners think that they have a memory problem. After all, if you don't remember the words when you speak, it must be that. But that, my friend, is not the real issue. The real problem is this: words don't feel familiar in your mouth. You may understand them, you may recognize them when you read, but when it's time to speak, they don't come out. And why is that? Here's why it happens. Your brain doesn't remember words by meaning because they mean a certain thing in your native language. It recalls them by sound pattern. I'm sure, for example, that you can remember your favorite songs, right? Some even word for word, even when you don't know the meaning of those words. This is exactly what I mean. If a word or an expression doesn't sound familiar to your brain, it simply doesn't recall it. That's why people freeze. That's why you start a sentence and stop halfway. And that's why confidence disappears.
When I read, I remember, but when I speak with you or with another person, I don't remember the rules.
Not because you don't know English, but because you don't recognize the music it makes in your mouth. This is exactly why, inside the system I created, vocabulary is never taught as a list of words and meanings. Instead, words are trained in sound groups, inside real phrases, repeated with rhythm, practiced with precision, until they feel obvious. Not intellectually obvious, physically obvious. You don't remember the word, your mouth does. This is why Cristina couldn't recall words. Once she started practicing, repeating words by sound, getting used to how they flow, how they connect, how they feel when spoken, something changed, and this is the result.
We're working on a new skin improving cream for men under 30 with thin skin. And despite the long working hours, we are happy as we are helping fix their worries.
Just like that, once vocabulary feels familiar in your voice, recall is no longer a problem, and fluency becomes mechanical. So, if you feel like your English is holding you back, if you have ideas, skills, experience, but your current English doesn't show the real you, this can be the right place to start. Click below to apply and imagine how your English could sound like in 7 days from now.